Let's talk about mental health today, but from a different perspective. If you're like me and you're following on social media, on LinkedIn, and you're a business perhaps even, on the media in general, or in the media in general, should I say, mental health is a very trendy subject. Seems like everybody's talking about it. Everyone in businesses want to come up with employees program or anything else that would help everyone in the business around mental health. There's many podcasts around the subject, so it's very present in our day-to-day. And yet, for me, the conversation is a little bit overrated. And let me explain what I mean by that, because I don't want to downgrade or throw under the bus any efforts or programs or anything that is being done around mental health. It's useful. It's needed. It has been for a long time something that nobody was willing to talk about. And yet now it's very trendy, so that's a good thing. And like everything in life, there's an evolution, in my opinion, around that too, right? So right now, we're talking about mental health. It's very trendy. We're keeping the conversation around what can I do to not feel as bad, basically, inside myself and have those mental health difficulties. And for me, that's good. And yet, it's still primary school. It's still a little bit on the surface because we can go much deeper. You see, the conversation that will become more prevalent, I hope, and in my opinion, in the future, will not be the one about mental health per se, but about what's behind mental health. And that's spirituality. So before I lose you here, let me explain what spirituality is. Really. True spirituality is not about esoteric stuff, and it's not about woo stuff, and it's not about being able to communicate with animals. You know, somebody once stopped talking to me because I was not open enough, according to them, because I was not buying into the necessity of talking with animals. You know, it's fine if you're into that, and it's fine if you do it, and it's fine if you're capable of doing that. But for me, being spiritual doesn't have anything to do with that. At its core, I go and look into any tradition, you know, whether it's the yogic tradition, Hinduism, Buddhism, whatnot, Taoism, they all come back to the same essence. And that is, can I be, in my own words, can I be in harmony with reality? And that's it. That's the spiritual path right there. Life is unfolding. Situations, people, circumstances are showing up in our life. And we can't handle it. We resist, we fight, we cling, we try to control. We do all that in order to feel better. And that's where the mental health conversation comes in. What I'm saying is, why don't we go back a little bit more, a little bit deeper, and then try to figure out what's going on here so that I cannot handle reality. Now, some people will say, yeah, that's a conversation that psychiatrists or psychologists will have. Yeah, psychology is a good thing. It will help. but it's not going to free you. My pole star here is liberation, is inner peace. It's love, it's joyfulness all the time, no matter what. And if you want to get there, well, you need to we need to start talking about spirituality more. Enough with the taboos and the judgment and all the fluff around not being open to the conversation because of so many things, right? Religious background, impact it out on your life, how you were, the woo-woo stuff, or the psychedelic trips and whatnot. So much going on around a space where it's easy for one to not pay attention and not be curious to go there. And yet, if we would only follow this thread, I want to be in harmony with reality. Whatever comes up in my business, at my work, in my family, with myself, then it's a pretty good start to a spiritual conversation. And inevitably, the mental health talk or conversation will be part of that. But it's not going to be a matter of let's analyze and let's study and let's understand what's going on with my head and my mind and my mental. Because, hey, that's your mental and that's your mind, and that's the reason why you're struggling in the first place. So we got to go beyond that, right? It's so easy for my mind to create thoughts. Actually, it's its purpose, that's what it does. It's just, that's what it does. My toaster make toast. My mind creates thoughts. That's what it is. And it's going to do that all the time until you learn how to dance with it. I don't want to use the word cope, because if we're still coping, then we'll never transform, we'll never transcend the mind, and we'll get stuck there and we'll still have the same conversation 10, 50, and 100 years from now. And heck, we still have the conversation thousands of years later than what the great masters told us. We already have the answers. We're just not paying attention, and we're not willing to do the work. We're not ready or whatnot. But point is, my mind creates a bunch of thoughts. My heart creates a bunch of emotions. And if I try to settle the problem with what created it in the first place, well, I'm going in circles. So learning to transcend that is the essence of the spiritual path. See how beautiful that is? That puts a big smile and a weird feeling in my body just to say it. So I guess part of this podcast is an invitation to open up the perspective, let down your guards, be curious a little bit about what's behind mental health. And I'm going to give you a question to start playing with it that will melt the ice of your heart, as a great shaman once told me. If you're like me, and let's be honest, we are all in the same boat here. At one point in our life, we struggled with our heart. It was sending us so many emotions that we could not dance with it. We didn't know what to do with that. It felt bad. It brought us into a vicious cycle. The mind immediately kicks in. It sends us a bunch of thoughts, and it's like they're working in cahoots, right? Your mind and your heart. they're playing ping pong and then sending each other the ball. And this game will never end well, typically. We've all been there, right? Whether it's a comment from our spouse or the silly things that the kid does, or our colleague at work that, doesn't work well or participates in the project. It pisses us off. Or maybe it's our boss who's not having a great day and says something, that doesn't go down too well for you. And then the whole thing starts for a bunch of different reasons that, we could explore in a different podcast. But the point is, we're all in the same boat, right? We've all been there at one point or another. Now, here's the question that I'd like to introduce you to. How do you know that it's not going too well? How do you know that your heart feels what it feels? How do you know that your mind is just like a chattering box and it won't stop and it's sending you a bad vibe and it's bad stuff? How do you know? And if you meditate on this question a little bit and if you play with it a little bit, well, soon you realize that it's the gateway to the deeper conversation we're after here. It's the gateway because it will connect you to your conscience. You are the consciousness that is able to observe that my heart is sending me a bunch of stuff, a bunch of emotions. You are the consciousness that is able to observe that my mind is going crazy. And that right there is the initial starting point of your spiritual journey, of the spiritual conversation, of your spiritual practices. And it goes deeper than that as you evolve in this process. There's many stages, but start playing with that question. And I bet you that first, it's going to help you more than you think. Second, it's going to open up a whole new perspective on the spiritual, the mental health conversation, your life. It just opens up so much because you need to start exploring and playing with it. And that's it for today. I think that's enough. So yeah, folks, I'll invite you to reflect on that. Be a little bit curious. Start to explore and ask yourself, how come do I know? How come do I know that my heart is giving me troubles? How come do I know that my mind keeps on talking? And let's see where that leads you. I can assure you it's going to be a great place. A great place where, at one point, you'll want to explore much more and go much deeper because the sense of awe and joy and happiness and peace that you'll have from time to time will be so contagious that you'll want to have it always. All right. Thank you. See you next time.